Welcome to Heart Echo Channel, where we believe that sometimes a single melody can return what time tried to steal. Tonight's story is about a forgotten love, a melody that never faded, and the quiet magic of second chances. Snow drifted gently through the city, softening the sharp edges of Christmas Eve. The world was a symphony of muffled sounds and glittering lights. On a quiet corner, a small cafe stood glowing, a pocket of warmth against the biting cold. Inside the sanctuary, Daniel Wyatt sought refuge. At 32, he was the CEO of a billion-dollar company, a man who had conquered the corporate world. He lived in a penthouse with panoramic views, drove a car that cost more than most houses, and was surrounded by the constant hum of success. And yet, he was completely, profoundly, alone. He had just left a glamorous gala, a spectacle of champagne and superficial applause that echoed in his ears but meant nothing to his heart. He ordered a black coffee, the steam rising to meet his tired face, and found a small table near the back, hoping to disappear into the shadows. That's when he heard it. The piano. The notes were soft, delicate, and a little unsure. Small fingers pressed gently against slightly out-of-tune keys, creating a melody that was both fragile and filled with intent. Near the twinkling Christmas tree sat a little girl, no older than 5. The clatter of cups, the low murmur of conversation, the hiss of the espresso machine, it all vanished. The song she was playing was Winter Glow. It was a melody he knew intimately, a secret score written on the pages of his soul. That was the year she wrote Winter Glow for him, a private gift whispered into the quiet of a winter afternoon. It was their song, a testament to a love they thought would be eternal. Then one day, she was gone. No goodbye, no explanation, just an empty space where she used to be. and the pain of the past win. He came back to the cafe the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. He didn't come with grand gestures or dramatic declarations. He brought crayons and coloring books for Ellie, and a new novel for Grace, remembering she always loved to read. One afternoon, Ellie developed a high fever. Grace was frantic, her hands shaking as she tried to call a cab. A few months later, the cafe hosted a small charity night for the local community. She climbed onto the piano bench, her small frame looking even smaller in the dim light. A profound silence fell over the room. Ellie began to play Winterglow. Each note, now clear and perfectly in tune, resonated with a new kind of hope. Across the room, Grace stood listening, tears streaming freely down her face. Daniel watched her, his heart full, listening not just to the music, but to the story it was finally telling, a story of love, loss, and rediscovery. 1 year later, the cafe was brighter, fuller, more alive than ever. On Saturday mornings, Ellie, now a confident little pianist, taught other neighborhood children how to play their first notes on the restored piano. Daniel walked in, not with a briefcase full of business calls, but with a box of warm cookies from the bakery down the street. "Daddy's here," Ellie shouted, abandoning her lesson to run and leap into his arms. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic public announcements. Their new life wasn't built on a single moment, but on 1,000 small ones. It was built on time, on choice, and on a love that had proven it could wait. Snow fell outside once again, blanketing the city in a fresh layer of white. Inside the warm cafe, Grace stood by the window, watching the flakes dance, softly humming Winterglow. But this time, she wasn't alone. A pair of strong arms wrapped around her from behind, and a familiar voice joined her tune. The melody was finally complete.